After nearly 3 years of heavy fighting in Ukraine, the countryside has become a graveyard of military hardware, notably the main battle tanks, that is MBTs. What is unique about the conflict is how the armored behemoths from the essentially different eras of are now rolling over the same ground, often meeting the same fate. Also, platforms that might have been considered obsolete as also being used alongside the cutting-edge technology, and the newest hardware clearly has the advantage. That fact was noted as drone operators from the Rarok Battalion of the 24th Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine released a video that allegedly shows 4 Russian tanks being destroyed by the unmanned aerial systems, that is UAS, in the Bakhmut sector earlier this week. Also, the tanks were T-62, a model likely older than some of the parents of the current tank crews. How did the old tanks end up on the front? Let's see. Before launching its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine nearly 3 years ago, the Russian military had the world's largest tank force, at least on paper. However, also even then, the military analysts saw the Russian tank force as a paper tiger, as many of the vehicles dated back decades and were kept in storage with little or no ongoing maintenance. Also, questions were raised as to how many of those antiquated vehicles were operational and how effective tanks from the 1960s would fare on the modern battlefields. The answer came after the Russia was unable to deliver a swift victory in Ukraine and saw hundreds of its modern MBTs destroyed. As the war dragged on and losses outpaced the production of new tanks, the Kremlin refurbished those old tanks from the Cold War, returning them to service. It is apparent that Russia was desperate. Some of the tanks sent to the front lines would also seem better suited in the museum or in the historical reenactment than in the modern combat. That certainly included the T-62, a platform that was first introduced more than 6 decades ago. Developed from the T-54-55 series Soviet tanks, the T-62 was actually considered a very good tank in all day, and it did introduce many design features that become standard in the future Soviet and Russian mass-produced tanks, including the T-72, T-84 and T-90. It has been touted as being easier to operate and easier to maintain, but those are hardly selling points, going out how outclassed the T-62 is compared to the modern platforms, not to the mentioning of the drones. Also, to put in the historical perspective, the medium tanks was introduced before the United States military even adopted the AR-15 M16 as its standard